Good afternoon, Word of Grace family. Today is Thursday, December the 10th, 2020, and welcome to today's edition of 5 Minutes of Encouragement. As usual, the scriptures that I reference during this talk will be in the description box of this video. I ask that you both like and share this hashtag 5 Minutes of Encouragement. For today's 5 Minutes of Encouragement family, we're continuing with our Christmas theme, or our Incarnation of Christ theme, and we're going to look at, in context, some of the things that we've been discussing over the past 2 weeks. First and foremost, the Magi, the wise men who came from the east, had a very specific understanding of who was coming. That is why their reaction at seeing the star was so exuberant. Then we looked at what the angel told Mary about the name of the one that's coming. Now, the prophet Isaiah said he would be called Emmanuel, but the angel says his name would be Jesus, which is a concatenation of two Hebrew words, Yahweh and saves, or Yahweh saves. That is what Jesus means. And the question then remains to be asked, why? Why would the God of the universe do all of that for you and I? When I say all of that, I mean the God of the universe exists differently, right? When he became a human being, that means he had to eat, he had to go to the bathroom, he had to take a shower, he had to do things that the God of the universe never had to do before. Why would he do that? I believe the reasoning, I believe the actually motivation behind it can be found in the book of Hebrews. So we're going to jump into the book of Hebrews today, just a couple of scriptures there, and then we'll try to put it all into context. Under the old covenant, the blood of bulls, goats, and the ashes of a heifer were sprinkled on those who were defiled and effectively cleansed them outwardly from their ceremonial impurities. Yet how much more will the sacred blood of the Messiah thoroughly cleanse our conscience? For by the power of the eternal Spirit, he has offered himself to God as the perfect sacrifice that now frees us from our dead works to worship and serve the living God. I think the most important thing there, family, is for us to realize that the incarnation of Christ. Well, before I do that, let me say this. There are a lot of truths that are attributed or can be discussed when talking about the reality of Christianity and the reality of God. There are a lot of truths. And sometimes we get at odds with people because if we set all the truths at a table, we're trying to discuss and sometimes argue about which truth is sitting at the head of the table. My view is this, that the truths are all seated at a table, but it is a round table. Therefore, no truth is at the head of it. They're all, depending on the situation, depending on the circumstances, all truths are important. And sometimes we get locked into looking at a truth in only a certain light. And so the light that we're looking at, this truth and the incarnation of Christ, one of the reasons that he came, as you saw there in verse 14, I believe it was, to give us the freedom to serve the living God. That is such a huge thing. He came here and sacrificed himself so that you and I would have the freedom to serve the living God. What does that mean? Have you ever felt guilty about something you've done and you just didn't feel worthy to do something that the Lord wanted you to do? Now, don't get me wrong. Are there times when you need to just fess and say, hey, I messed up, and then accept his cleansing and keep it moving? But sometimes we get stuck in a place where something in our past holds us back from our future. And Jesus came in order to cut that tie. He bore everything you ever did in his own body and swam it down to hell and left it there. Why is that so important? Every sin ever committed after his death were committed after his death, right? So he sacrificed himself before all of us were born. And before we ever did anything wrong, he sacrificed himself before that. And the moment that you accepted him, it wiped out that sin debt so that now you are free to serve the living God, which I mean to say, is that you are now free to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. Or as Jesus put it, to love our neighbor as he loved us. When we do that, family, when we cut the tie to our past for anything that we've done, we rob Satan of his power to manipulate and control us, and we allow an avenue, or we open up the avenue for our Father to flow through us and to positively affect the world around us. Family, I pray this has been an absolutely wonderful source of encouragement for you today. As usual, I absolutely love and adore each and every one of you. But more importantly, Jesus loves you. Go make it a wonderful day, family, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for Psalm Friday.